will coat the roof of your mouth.
I want the cream on my tongue.
Yes, don't we all?
An
Don't we
interesting
all?
place to start the recording.
Yeah, I saw you start the recording.
Now, another question. Do you eat the cream half part or do you eat the cookie half part?
Cookie half first?
Yes!
Because you save the best for last.
Yes!
That's true.
Yes!
That's
Not
true, yes.
intended!
But sometimes if I'm just dunking in milk, I will just eat the whole cookie
See,
like the way it is.
No. I'm not a cookie dunker.
In case anyone is
you
curious,
don't dunk cookies in milk?
Absolutely not.
they're talking about Oreos, podcast listeners, by the way.
No, we're not.
You
Talking
don't.
about cum.
What if you have a chocolate chip cookie? Do you dunk
No,
it?
dip your cum in milk?
No. No
Do you
cookies.
eat it with milk?
No milk. Maybe.
Wait, no cookies, no milk? What are you doing then? Standing in your kitchen?
Probably, yeah.
Doing nothing. Just
Okay,
straight
first
up
of
doing
all,
nothing.
if I'm going to be dunking in milk, it's going to be non-dairy milk. And for some people, that might be a deal breaker. Fuck off if that's the case. But no, I don't dip any cookie in any milk ever.
What about coffee?
Dip a cookie in coffee? No.
Yeah, I love doing that. I dick a
Give
I stick my dick in coffee.
dip a chocolate chip cookie into coffee. No one does that.
I have done that, and actually, I think like the really hard biscottis. I've done that in coffee. Delicious.
Oh, you have to.
But the main reason I don't like dipping cookies in milk or like coffee, I don't like the texture. And then inevitably at the bottom of your glass or towards the bottom, you get all those fucking crumbs and bits.
That's the best. Oh
no!
Oh, sometimes this is what I'll do.
The soaked up
this is what I do.
cookie crumbs.
So sometimes like I'm dipping an Oreo or cookie, right, and it breaks off by accident because it gets too heavy.
That's the worst part.
No, because then at the end, that last gulp of milk is filled with cookie.
I hate it.
And then it's like nice, cookie, mushy, milky.
No, mushy, no.
Jackie, are you one of those people that doesn't like touching like the wet food that's stuck in the sink?
Sometimes, but it really depends.
A lot of people are skeeved out by that.
I will go through phases where I'm like, ugh, I hate touching it. But then, like yesterday, I was fucking just diving in there.
Yeah, just
elbow deep. Elbow deep. What was that, Pat?
So anyway, I popped an edible.
But also, how do you feel about cereal? Because cereal, I get the same way. I don't like when it gets too soggy. So I will do little pours of milk, eat the most soaked cereal, and then pour more milk. Re-soak the cereal.
That is fucking insane.
And then keep eating it. This is what I do.
Or what I do is I just pour the milk, and then I will eat the cereal before it gets too soggy.
You have to like rush. You're just fucking like rushing to eat it then at that point.
Well, cereal's good. I'm ravishing it.
All right.
How do you feel about plastic bowls with straws attached to them? You can drink the milk.
What?
That's poor people stuff. Sorry.
Oh, bowls. The bowls. I heard bowls.
Oh no, the
I did have those.
Bowls
no, we had those growing up because
I don't
we were
like
poor.
that.
Matt wasn't. Matt wouldn't know.
Matt wouldn't know.
No, Matt
I don't
wouldn't
like
know.
that.
I don't like that either.
Putting straws into bowls?
No, it's a plastic bowl.
It's like a
straw attached.
Yeah.
You could then sip the milk out of.
So Matt, you might not
like
know
that.
this store. Do you know Walmart, Matt?
What?
They would sell them there, like growing up as kids.
Do you know what's that really like dingy
Kmart?
supermarket? No, in like New York, it's
Kmart. I think Kmart's gone. There's no Kmart.
Not Stop and Shop. What's it called?
ShopRite.
No, Super something.
Super Saver.
Shit.
Price
like
Chopper.
It'll come to me.
Heartstopper season 2.
Heartstopper season 2. The
that's
last
not what we're here to talk about.
episode that we did.
I know.
No.
What was that?
What was that, James? James.
Well, in case anyone didn't know, this is actually an episode of Under Queer Review, which is part of What to the Gays Thing podcast now, I believe. I think it's all the same. Is that what we decided?
We're all the same?
That's not what I said, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
Both types of episodes will be under the same banner.
Yes.
Bruce banner.
This type of episode in particular, Under Queer Review, is where we get together and we review the latest and greatest in queer media and decide if it passes the queer review. And today, what are we reviewing, Jackie?
I don't know.
Scott Pilgrim takes off. Taking off, going off.
What is he
going
taking
in.
off?
Taking off layers of heterosexuality to reveal a really gay character. Oh, there's a few gay characters.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
Listen, I had a nap before. I woke up feeling like crap, but then I felt wired from the nap.
Yeah, and then you took an edible.
that's
So
good.
you're really just.
Well, the edible was
going
like
through
5 minutes ago, so it hasn't hit yet.
Not yet.
It's gonna hit like 45 minutes.
Oh
into
yeah,
the episode.
we're gonna be
Here
in
we
it,
go.
and he'll just be
Let's
like.
He wants to talk about God's light. Yeah, my pupils dilate like.
All right, so
Hungry.
context. Me and Jackie have never seen anything Scott Pilgrim related, including the movie. But there's like a graphic. Is it a graphic novel?
A graphic novel.
Yes.
That preceded the movie, I believe. So
Yes.
I had no context. I hadn't seen anything. Jackie, had you seen anything graphic novel?
No, I knew. So when I started watching this, I knew of the movie, and I did very little research. I didn't want to spoil myself. So I knew there was a graphic novel that was like the source of truth for everything. So that's all
Right.
all I really know.
Okay,
Yes, let me give you some context further.
go ahead.
Scott Pilgrim is originally a graphic novel, started releasing in August 2004, and I think all the way to 2010. And I think there's like 6 volumes of the graphic novel, and they re-released them as hardcovers, and I need to buy it because I used to have the softcover version, but then I lost it. I don't know where it went. So it eventually got converted into a film called Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which came out in 2010, around the same time that the graphic novel ended.
Yeah.
And then that film was really well received in terms of like, not financially, it kind of bombed, but it became like a kind of cult classic film-ish, or more like a modern cult classic film. And it had a great cast. It takes a lot of inspiration from anime, manga, video games. There are sci-fi elements involved. And then just recently, we had Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which is a animated series on Netflix, which draws a lot of similarities between obviously the graphic novel and the film. The animation style looks like the graphic novel itself, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And that came out. Did it come out this year? Yeah.
The
end of last year, 22.
Oh, okay.
The end of last year, 2023, November 17th. And the great thing was, basically everyone from the film who did a character came back to voice them in the series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there were a few like new characters or like just like side characters that got new voice actors, but the main characters are all kind of voiced by the same people.
Wow.
Yeah, you got Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim. You got Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers. You got Kieran Culkin as Wallace, Chris Evans as Lucas, Anna Kendrick as Stacy Pilgrim, Brie Larson as Envy Adams.
Oh, Brie Larson.
Plaza as Julie Powers. Brendan Ruth as Todd. Jason Schwartzman as Gordon. Satya Baba as Matthew.
Matthew.
Roxanne. Ellen Wong as Knives. And then some other people,
Mae Whitman as Roxy.
Didn't I just say that?
I don't know.
Okay, roll back the tape.
So I'm going to jump right in, and I want to say something.
Mm-hmm.
As I was watching this and experiencing this, I had a feeling, which I haven't looked anything up about the movie, about the graphic novel, but I had a feeling that this was not how the story went initially during the movie and during the graphic novel. Like this felt like Ramona was the main character, and that this is kind of like they're retelling from her perspective, if things were a little bit different. But the original, I'm assuming, follows Scott Pilgrim as the main character about fighting these 7, ex-boyfriends.
I guess you'll have to watch the film and let me know.
I don't know if I will. But I'm
read
just
the
saying,
graphic novel.
that's my assumption.
Or read the graphic novel.
Well, I talked to people who had seen both, and I did hear, Matt, that sounds like what I heard from them, that this The show follows Ramona as the protagonist, and the movie told a slightly different story.
Yes. And I was also assuming that they were kind of poking fun, like with the movie script. They were like, oh, this is what would have happened if Scott won his fight against... I was like, so that's what the movie was.
Yeah.
Like, Scott wins the fight and keeps going. Like, that.
Yep.
That's kind of what I had assumed. I thought they were poking fun. Mm-hmm. Again, no context, so that's just what I'm assuming.
Well, also...
Am I right?
First of all, spoiler alert. We're going to talk about the series, so...
Yeah.
You will get spoiled. Well, because if by the... And this is another spoiler alert. If by the end of the series, you kind of get the idea that, like, in other universes, Scott and Ramona get together, and it always ends... or it will lead to bad things, or like there's always problems when they're getting together. So like, yeah, you could say that this is just a version in which Scott and Ramona did this. The film is a version where Scott and Ramona did that. And the graphic novel is actually way more closer to the film, even though there are some differences, but it's way closer to the film. This is completely different entirely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm assuming it's a diverging timeline.
Yeah, so basically, the first episode, Scott has to fight Matthew Patel, the first evil ex.
Yes.
Yep.
And he seemingly dies, but Ramona feels like he's still alive and goes looking for him. In the film, he does not die at that moment. And I was watching the show. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I love Scott Pilgrim. And I love this animation style. And I'm looking around. I'm like, what's this? What's going on? And I was like, oh, it must be the next episode. Next episode, it gets further and further away from... I was like, what's this? And I was glued. I almost watched the whole thing in one sitting. I was so wet.
So you didn't know that this was going to be completely different?
No, and it's great because the trailer, which I'm sure you guys didn't see the trailer, the trailer really only shows the first episode and like clips of other episodes, but it's predominantly the first episode where the plot is almost identical to the film.
Oh, fun.
So people going in didn't even really know what it was going to be, which was perfect.
I love that in a trailer.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's what trailers should be.
Yeah.
It's such a good subversion, because even I was like, the entire the anime intro is entirely focused on Scott. Ramona's barely in it.
Yeah.
So you have no idea that Ramona is going to be the protagonist for the story. Mm-hmm. It's just like a complete subversion of that trope, which I like. The only other time that I really liked that playing out that way was Ned Stark in Game of Thrones, but then Game of Thrones went to the shitter. But yeah.
Much like Jackie will do soon.
Much like me.
Much like I was doing recently, I had parasites, everyone.
Oh, you just flat out said it.
I don't care. People can know. It's not STD.
No, I just meant there's just...
Even if I had an STD, I tell people. I mean, Jackie's told people that I had an STD.
Oh my god, this again!
So anyway, let's just go with the overall feelings about the show.
Okay.
Matt, how did you feel overall? Did you enjoy it? Not enjoy it?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I think I did miss out on the initial like shock of it changing paths from the original, from having no context initially. But yeah, I thought overall it was fun. I was texting Pat throughout most of my watch. I was like, what is going on? I have no idea what's happening. Like when the initial fight started between Scott and Matthew, is his name?
Matthew.
And it like breaks down into this video game fight. And
yes.
they have powers. I'm like, okay, wait.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know anything about this world. We can't just jump in and be like, oh yeah, everyone's got powers now. And everyone's like super good at fighting, like amazing martial artists suddenly. I was like, what?
But I love that though.
No, it was fun. After that first initial shock, I was like, oh, okay, this is how everything is going to be.
It's like jumping into a cold pool or the ocean.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I loved that one guy just got powers just from being vegan. I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah. Todd.
And everybody like knew of it. Everyone was like, well, yeah, vegan powers.
Yeah, vegan powers,
really
obviously.
Fucking funny.
Yeah.
And I love also that like they throw in the time travel stuff, but like they make it sound so like, oh yeah, it just happens. Like
just does
they're
it.
so casual about it.
Same with the like the dream subspace thing, like the whole
Mhm.
plot point that Ramona delivers DVDs so fast because she's just using Scott's dream
Brain.
subspace. Yeah, really
Yeah.
fucking trippy.
Yeah.
And they're just so casual about it. They're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I ended up looking, I think like 2 or 3 episodes in, I ended up looking up like I want a no spoiler, just like is there a rundown of anything that I should know to add context. And the most helpful thing that I read was just that like powers are just normal. Like some of these powers are just normal and taken, at face value. And I was like, okay, great. That's explains everything actually.
Yeah.
It made it a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about the series overall, Jackie?
I liked it overall. I really liked the animation style and it was a lot of fun. I don't typically like campy humor or like campy things, but I feel like this had some campy humor, right? Would this be considered campy?
I mean,
I
kind
don't
of.
know. A little bit adjacent. So I did end up enjoying it.
I did, despite my best effort.
I did.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Well, there were multiple lesbians in it, Jackie. I thought you would love that.
I did.
Interesting. So what do we? All right, we all. I mean, obviously, I love it because I love everything Scott Pilgrim. I think it was done very well. So pros and cons list. Do you have something that really stood out to you that was like, I really loved this part, and I really just didn't think this part was that great? What was the highlight and the low light? I mean, I can go first.
Yeah, go first.
Go for it, dearie.
Okay, so I guess the low light would be. It's so like
nothing. No, there's
no. It's not. No, I mean like the one of the things I would love obviously more because I think there's just so much more they could do with it, especially because spoiler alert, there's like a tease at the end of like another. Future stuff. Although the creators have already said they're like we have no plans for a second season, so which is totally fine because I think it was a completely self-contained story. So I guess we probably won't, but maybe that's for the better. We don't need IPs can die. Like they can IPs can die and we can move because like when they initially started marketing for the show, I was like I'm excited because I love Scott Pilgrim, but like I already have the graphic novel, I already have the film, but then it was so different. I didn't care. But yeah, I guess the low light would be like I wish there was more, and maybe I really started to enjoy like all of the background characters and going to see what they were doing. Like when they just go to the movie set and like the plot doesn't really move forward, but the whole episode is at the movie set. I would have just wanted another season of that. Something like Owl House. At the beginning of the last season, they just showed them living in the human world. I would have loved a whole season of that. So I think I would have liked some actually more of the mundane stuff. But the highlight was definitely the shift in storytelling. Like, and then of course at the end, spoiler, Ramona basically just chooses herself, which we can get into later.
Yeah, which I enjoyed because like it wasn't. We can get into it later. Never mind. All right, highlights and lowlights. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So low light for me. I would say there's 2 low lights for me. I would say that before the first subversion happens, where it's just an episode basically of Scott and Ramona getting to know each other. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, I'm bored.
What is the first episode?
I know it's the setup episode, but when they're sitting on the swings and talking and being heterosexual and sweet, I was like, what am I watching?
Okay. Yeah,
but then they throw the evil exes show up and I'm like, oh, okay, something's happening.
Okay, but like, all right, fine. But also we can enjoy heterosexual content. Though
I was feeling like I've seen this 1,000 times before, but then they throw shit at you. The evil exes show up. They're like, Ramona's got our new boyfriend. I'm like, oh, something's happening. Great.
Well, I mean, they have to. It's slow disclosure. It's slow disclosure of details.
I know.
Yeah, I feel like the slowness that I felt was maybe more a delay between them like introducing the characters and then introducing this like the powers and like the supernatural phenomenon aspect, because it does start very, which is nothing wrong with it, but like very mundane and normal, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
23-year-old dating a 17-year-old, less mundane and normal, but we can get into that.
Yeah.
One of the highlights for me, I really enjoyed the watching what the exes ended up doing after kind of confronted with Ramona and stuff. And I think the one that sticks out the most to me is Lucas Lee and Gideon or Gordon Goose reconnecting and having that whole like they built a fucking like half pipe and everything. And what's her face comes back and she was like, I was gone for 90 fucking minutes. Are you kidding me? Like the house
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza's character.
They're such bros. I love it.
They're such bros. I really loved it. I really liked Lucas Lee's character played by Chris Evans.
Captain America.
Captain America. And we love him though.
You know what? My second low light was actually I'm going to be honest, like the Lucas Lee episode, the initial one, not the one where he gets with Gordon Goose. The initial Lucas Lee episode where he fights the paparazzi. Yeah. That one was like meh for me.
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite.
Yeah. But yeah. Highlight though, the entire movie episode was so fun.
It was really funny. It was really
and then
funny.
the scandalous gay romance happening in the background.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. You want to go to my trailer?
Funny.
Yeah, let's go to my trailer.
You want to run lines?
Run lines? the one part where he just like walks by and coughs. And like he's like, yep, we gotta go.
And it's just the trailer shaking violently.
Yes. And it gets progressively more. Like it shakes more and more through each one.
Well, he gets looser and looser, so he's able to
really go to Pound Town.
So who was topping?
We know who was topping.
Yeah, we know who was topping. Wallace, obviously.
Wallace,
yeah.
I just thought it was funny the thought of there just being a cameraman just consistently like looking at the trailer shaking.
Yeah,
because the whole thing is like a camera. Like,
yeah. Do you know who the narrator was for that? The narrator of that like documentary of the film?
No.
Weird Al.
Oh no shit! That's
Weird
fun.
Al. Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, I loved that.
But yeah, I love that whole episode. Amazing.
I don't know.
Did you do both highlights and lowlights, Jackie?
I did highlights. I haven't done lowlights yet. I've been trying to think of a lowlight, and honestly, I think the lowlight for me was just trying to understand Scott's character. And I did feel like not having seen the movie, I felt a little disconnected from his character, probably until like the last and second to last episodes, where you kind of see his perspective of what he was doing while gone. And I've heard, again, I was talking to people who had seen this, know this. I was asking them, why is he such a compelling character? Like, he seems like a complete kind of loser, like dirtbag person, just kind of like slumming it, but still getting all these really hot women. And so I've been told that was kind of the point of it. It's almost like commentary on his character arc and trying to have him realize he was a shitty person as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because like Scott is written as like an idiot and sort of like a douche.
Yeah, like unintentional douche.
Yeah, like he's good-hearted, but he's a womanizer, basically. He cheats on both girls that he likes, basically, at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And lies to like both of them about it until they find out, inevitably. So yeah, he's not meant to be like liked. And then, you know, obviously the film and graphic novel progress differently, but part of it is kind of like him trying to like prove that he's not a douchebag and like earn Ramona's affection, you know, or like her love in that regard. So I mean,
because she's a prize to be won.
Well, and then in this series, not so much, which is great. So I see a question here. Why does Scott Pilgrim deserve to live? Because we're talking about Scott, so let's talk about Scott. Scott.
That one was more of a joke, but it was essentially, that was my reminder to talk about his kind of character arc. And yeah, I didn't really like him too much. He just kind of seemed there.
I think it's interesting because I didn't see it that way, mostly because I like Scott wasn't the focus of this particular show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like Ramona's the one with the character arc, so I was
Yeah.
compelled by Ramona's change in herself,
Yes.
and figuring out like, you know, the problems that she has. You know, she's always running away from the one that she loves, right? That's kind of like her whole thing, and she's finally confronted by that at the end. And Scott maybe has a little bit of character at the end there, but I was like, this show's more about Ramona to me. So I don't think I had too much of a problem with Scott's character because it's not really about him.
In
Yeah.
the film, does he cheat on Ramona as well? Because you said he cheats on both women.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where he was like, he's with Knives, and he's with not like they're so like not termed well, and then like he cheats on her with Ramona.
Yeah.
And then I think what happens is he doesn't break it up with Knives or Ramona. So at the same time, he's cheating on both of them because neither of them know about the other, but he's trying to play both
betraying
of them.
the trust. Yeah.
Yeah, or like avoiding Knives because he doesn't want to tell her about
Yes.
Ramona and break up with her.
Yes.
So let's talk about Knives. She's has 17?
17.
Well, I did a quick Google search, right? And back in 2008, the age of consent in Canada was 14. So that's creepy.
Okay.
I don't like that.
I
think
like
in 2008 it changed to 16. So this was written in 2004. So Scott's not a pedophile.
Legally.
Legally, as far as I know. In today's world, he wouldn't be a pedophile either because the age of consent is 16 in Canada. So he's still not a pedophile.
I like how they kind of make fun of him though for it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, because he's such like a sort of dimmed douchebag. Like he can't date a woman of his own age because they are
they would not entertain
not
him.
like like not more intelligent, but like it's Knives is young, inexperienced, and sort of fixated on him because she sees him as like a cool band guy.
Yes.
A woman of his own age probably would just see through some of that, hopefully.
Yes.
And be like, no, you're just kind of a douche. So like he likes that, you know, she idolizes him. He likes that she's easy to be with because she's not that complicated. But thankfully, she does get some growth in the show. I
liked her little arc too, and it was so fucking funny when she just picks up the bass and she starts like. They were like, how long have you been playing bass? Like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Wait. That again with the piano, I think. It was
Do
really
we
funny.
think that she and
what's
her name?
Yes, the drummer. Kim?
Yeah, they've got to be Kim. Kim? Is that her name?
Kim.
It is Kim.
Kimberly Pine, played by Allison Peel.
Yes. No, they're together. So they had sparks.
They had that like minute and a half song montage where they're playing together, and I said, this is lovely.
Didn't she also kiss Roxy?
Who?
The drummer.
No, that was Roxy was talking to the video store person after the fight.
Oh, that's who it was.
Oh, the other girl.
And Roxy was like to Ramona, she was like, "Oh, do you want a kiss?" And Ramona was like, "Absolutely not." And so Roxy immediately turns to the video store coworker, I forget her name. It's just like, what about you? And then it was like maybe.
Then they do kiss, but there were no sparks.
Oh, that's right. They do. Yep.
They were like,
oh, no sparks. Yeah.
Which lips you want to kiss, girl?
I really hated the animation. Speaking of kissing, I really hated the animation of Scott and Ramona kissing. I think for the first time, there's like so much tongue coming out.
Well, they're passionate.
Or later.
No, it was like tongue out. It was like, and then like leading.
Some people like a lot of tongue,
but you saw it.
Tongue first.
It wasn't like closed mouth. The tongues are doing their thing. It was like tongue
first.
Yeah. It's like docking, but with tongues.
What?
Okay, James.
Oh, Pat, your mic is gone. What happened?
Did you bump a cord? Because we can't hear you.
Pat, we can't hear you anymore. What happened, dearie?
Hello?
Oh.
Hello.
Yeah. But now your camera's frozen. Oh, nope, there you are.
Well, there you are.
That won't matter.
Okay, work. What were we saying?
He's not a pedo.
He's not.
Oh, Scott?
Yeah, he's not.
Okay, we're going back
And in
in time.
conclusion, he's not a pedo.
Yeah.
In conclusion, I have a separate question. Since this is under queer review, and we want to talk about the queer characters, who is our favorite queer character out of the 4?
Wallace.
Oh, okay.
Wallace was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What about, is that also your favorite character, Jackie?
I think I found him the most entertaining, but I was also rooting for Roxy a bit as kind of the only female presenting ex. So I was rooting for her a bit as well. But I also love Todd's awakening.
Oh yeah.
So it's a tough call. But Wallace was real. I think Wallace had the most screen time and therefore is probably the most funny and memorable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were all very endearing, which was nice.
I also liked Wallace. Wallace was fun.
Yeah, I mean, he basically converted hot man.
Yes.
Had so much probably backbreaking sex, and then at the end
Yes.
was like, meh, I guess that's it. Like
he was married to somebody at like Nintendo in this crazy rich house.
In his future world,
Yeah.
Married to someone at Nintendo.
Yeah.
And he looked the same.
And it was genuine love too, you find out. Because I was like, oh, like a sugar daddy situation. But then it turns out like, no, they had sparks.
Yeah.
I did enjoy, this is another one of those shows where it's kind of just like the world exists and there's just casual gayness that is not frowned upon, I would say. Yeah. Which we've talked about this a couple of times. We do like when that happens.
Yeah, it was refreshing.
It is refreshing. I think She-Ra was another example of where it's just kind of casual gayness and it's just accepted. So I enjoyed that part of this, and I don't know, in the graphic novels, was it the same, or also the movie, was it the same?
So Wallace is gay, Roxy is queer or gay or lesbian, and Ramona is queer. Like that, those are still the same.
Right.
Other stuff, like this series is the most gay Scott Pilgrim content.
Right.
In terms of the quantity of characters and the quantity of gay subject material, for sure. But there was gay subject material in the past 2 iterations.
I heard that in the graphic novel, I think in the film, that Roxy and Ramona being together was treated more of a phase.
Phase, yes. Yes, it was. It was more of, I think, like a joke. Because the humor back then, obviously. But, that's why we get these updated series and those things change.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would be treated back then in 2004.
Yeah.
But Wallace was also gay, so...
Wallace was gay, yes. He was, in fact, gay.
But I'm assuming they didn't have, like, this whole Wallace and Todd...
No, they didn't have this whole thing.
That whole thing.
No.
Did Wallace get any action?
I think but it wasn't as visceral on screen as it was. But I think Wallace was someone.
Okay. So do we think that this was, I mean, the question that we have on here, was it a good representation of queerness / the LGBT community? I would say so, yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, I loved everything about it.
The whole thing.
Well, I love the whole show, yes, but I love everything about the gay shit that I saw.
Oh.
There's a question on here. How do you feel about the cast?
I loved it. I mean, that's a strong word. Love is such a strong word. Love is a verb, and I want everyone to sit with that while I talk about this. Voice acting is not the same as screen acting. It just isn't.
Nope.
Yeah.
I think there were some people who are definitely very strong at voice acting in this cast, and some people who are not as strong, maybe. But even though most of them weren't voice actors or had voice acting experience, they all did pretty well. I loved it.
I would agree with that. I think I've told you probably off air. I'm not the biggest Michael Cera fan, but I really enjoyed his voice acting and liked it for the depiction of Scott Pilgrim. There was, I think, only one casting that kind of felt strange to me, which I have marked down, so this is not a spoiler to you two, but was the casting of Will Forte as old Scott or older Scott. And my feeling behind that is Will Forte's voice, I don't know in terms of tonality, but also delivery and cadence, is so youthful in a way that feels younger than Michael Cera's voice. And so it kind of it was a little bit odd. It felt a little bit odd to me.
Was that old Scott or older Scott?
Both are both.
Both. Okay. You know what? I did kind of feel that listening to old Scott, like kind of the middle of the road one, I did kind of feel like his voice was like...
Yeah, I was like, oh, what the fuck? That's not what I was expecting. Love Will Forte.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't... That wasn't my favorite choice.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. If anything, I could try to explain it like... I mean, I don't know if this is what they went for. Probably not. But like, when you see the middle version of Scott, he sort of devolved even further into being a man-child.
That's what I was wondering too.
So like, I don't know if that was the direction he was given. I doubt it, but that's the only rationalization I could come up with. But because I was like, oh, why don't they just have Michael Cera do it?
Oh yeah.
Like, because Michael Cera's already kind of an adult.
Yeah, he's an adult. Yeah.
Like in current day or their present. So, but I liked it. I mean, give Will Forte some work.
Yeah, he deserves it.
He deserves it.
Loved Mae Whitman as Roxy.
Oh yeah, love Mae Whitman as Roxy. Yeah. Brie Larson had less to do in this show, I feel like, than in the film. But I still love Brie Larson.
I did like her. I love anything.
Who did Brie Larson play?
Envy Adams, Scott's ex-girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
she was like the superstar. And I liked Chris Evans as Lucas Lake.
Lucas.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, I was just going to say, how did you feel about Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers? Because having not seen the movie, this is the only basis that I have for her work. I don't think I've seen anything else of that actress's work.
I liked it because Ramona's character is pretty flat most of the time. Like, she's not very expressive. So Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I love, Cloverfield Lane, Birds of Prey, she kept her voice kind of not flat, like boring, but like more reserved. And then she did have some moments where she was like exacerbated. So I liked it. And is she the strongest voice actor? I don't know. But for the character, for like the character of Ramona, her voice is perfect because she did originally on screen.
When you said that you don't feel like everyone is, how do I say this? Was there anyone in particular who stood out to you as maybe not fitting from your earlier comment?
Like just not.
Yeah, like who you didn't like voice acting.
Let me drag someone.
Yeah, let me drag someone. Yeah.
I
want to know.
I mean, let me just take a quick look at the cast again.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the cast.
My mammary glands.
Your what?
Your what? I mean, I think. Well, Brie Larson didn't just get a lot, which is unfortunate. But like when I heard her, I didn't even really know it was Brie Larson as much. She also kind of has a flat demeanor in the film. Yeah. So when she spoke in the film, it was also kind of flat. And then, I mean, Aubrey Plaza just screams a lot in the... but it's the character, too. Like, the character is very reactionary. So, like, it's not even her fault that she didn't get much range. So I can't really blame her. But I don't know. I don't want to say anyone. Not like they'll fucking hear.
If they listen to this, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a fun question. That's not on the list.
How I get so hot and sexy.
Who's the hottest? No.
Me?
Hello. So the part of the show is kind of like this, like mystery of whodunnit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And they even do the whole whodunit sequence, casual, classic. Did anyone have any guesses initially about like who done it? Because I know who I thought at first had done it, and it was not correct at all.
No, I mean, because obviously it immediately diverts from the film. but I was still thinking about like the film itself, and I was like, oh, it's probably one of the evil exes, probably the boss character. And then of course you realize that he's no longer the boss, and I was like, well, then I definitely don't know who fucking did it.
Oh yeah, they subvert that immediately as well.
Yeah.
I did guess the twins was my guess throughout the entire thing up until like when they start to like imply that it's not the twins, you start to figure it out, like go that route. I'm like, I think this is some future shit, but I didn't like call that in advance or anything.
Yeah.
I thought it was young Neil at first.
Honestly, that's not like the worst idea, because young Neil is like this very like not very well filled out character in terms of his motivations.
That would be fucking
who
funny.
He is.
I just thought no, because they had that sequence of like the dream demon. What is it called?
Sleep paralysis demon.
His sleep paralysis demon writing the novel for him.
That was so fucking funny.
And then later someone asks him, they're like, how did you know like what Scott had said to me in my bed? And he goes, the creative process is a mystery or something like that.
Yes.
I looked at him, I was like, but
yeah,
wait, how did you know that though?
I was like, is there something here? Is there a brain cell, a single brain cell in there?
There certainly is not.
No.
So I was like, it's young Neil, it's him. And then it wasn't.
I mean, once the time travel stuff started, and then it kept. So once the time travel stuff started, I was like, oh my god, this is really fun. I like this plot point. That's cool. And then like by the end, when it's even older Scott, and they're all fighting in like some other planet or on the moon or some shit, I don't know where they are. It was so wild. I was like, I just loved the progression of it.
Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely moments in the series, and I think this kind of progressed, like maybe like 2 or 3 episodes in, where I just kind of let go of my, oh, like, what the fuck? Are we going to get an explanation for this thing? Because it just, like, no, we're not. Just run with it.
Honestly, content shouldn't always be holding your hand and explaining things. Like, you can just be dropped in, and we are smart enough to sort of pick things up.
Yes, like, I think the movie episode did a really good job of that, where you just drop in and you see, like, Ramona's this fucking, like, stunt person now.
Yes.
She clearly took over that position from the real stunt double, and then you have the whole band having their subplot. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I liked how they did that. Explain it to you. I really love it.
It was fun.
I mean, the whole time I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yes.
But you are able to kind of pick up the pieces, and I also love the subversion at the end, where literally Scott Pilgrim versus the world, but this version of it is older Scott versus everybody else. Like,
yes, that you learned that was kind of what the title was based off of.
Yeah, the world versus Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah,
I loved it. Is that what the movie was called? Is it The World versus Scott
Pilgrim? No,
Scott Pilgrim
versus the World. The last episode of the series is called The World versus Scott Pilgrim.
Oh. Yeah.
Yes, and I love. And I think the graphic novel is just called Scott Pilgrim.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll need to read it.
It's only 6
or
volumes.
Watch the movie. I don't know.
You should do Bofa.
Bofa?
Yeah, you should do Bofa.
I might watch the movie just to see, like, at this point, I kind of want to see the comparison of what the actual storyline initially was, because obviously this was, the whole point of it was just it was the subversion of the story to retell it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm curious about what the initial storyline was with Scott as the main character, and what's kind of progression they give to him. So maybe I'll go and watch it. I don't know.
Is the graphic novel, this might be spoiler territory, but like the graphic novel in the movie with Scott having to fight Ramona's exes, is it kind of like weird ownership vibes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, because the league is like they all think that they're going to get her back.
Well, but Scott thinks that too, right? Or does he not think that?
No, it's like
he
Scott
also thinks
is fighting them to sort of be like, no, Ramona is mine.
Yes. That would be very interesting if I watch and or read to compare it to this.
Did you say if?
Yeah.
When? Okay.
Here's another question, actually, about the graphic novels and the movie.
Yeah.
Do you get kind of like do the exes get kind of their redemption like they do in this show? No. So they're just evil.
Oh.
There's like no.
No. I think most of them, get just
They're just killed. They're just
thrown by the wayside.
okay. Then I kind of like how then in this one, like the
Yeah.
exes kind of get their redemption.
Yeah.
You go into them more.
It's
love
like
that.
I said, y'all should watch the movie beforehand so we can discuss it.
Lamau.
I never made any such promise.
Well,
I
didn't say.
don't
I
think
didn't
so."
say either of you promised. I'd say that I said you
We
should watch
could.
beforehand, so we could.
You
have
said
this
we
discussion.
could. You said
Yeah.
you did not say should.
I suggest. Let's go back to the text, shall we?
So Pat, then having watched the movie and then the graphic novel, is there anything you want to point out that like really stood out to you in terms of comparing them?
I mean, besides the obvious
like subversion of
yeah. I mean, it's the gay shit. It's all the gay shit. Like Roxy doesn't really get, like, none of them get progression in the graphic novel or in the film like they do in the series. But like Roxy's more of like a throwaway character. I'm pretty sure in the film. I mean, in the film, it was like, she was just like a lesbian trope. Sort of like a butch lesbian trope. Like Hot Topic, a butch lesbian.
Yeah.
Very on brand for Jackie.
Yeah, very on brand for me. Very interesting.
And then, no, Wallace is still gay, but he doesn't have anywhere near as much gay shit happen to him. I don't think Kim is even looked at like that.
Okay.
Knives isn't either. And Todd is not gay in the film. In the film, it's not gay.
Yeah, love that then.
Yeah, so.
And then how Todd goes like from being vegan to eating meat, metaphorically eating meat as well.
Really
like,
wild.
Well, he lost all the vegan powers,
and then he had to get them back at the very end.
Yeah, I think he ate a bunch of vegan shit really quickly.
He was in like he had like a little training montage, just eating vegetables.
Loved it. Out of all the exes besides Roxy, who was y'all's favorite exes? So I know Jackie said Roxy.
Lucas Lee would be probably mine, or like my other one. Mae Whitman is pansexual. I have another one.
Add it to the list.
Damn it!
I guess the evil ex I really liked was probably like. Well, in the series, they're very different. So in the series, I really liked. I guess I really liked Todd more because Todd had more fun. But in the film or in the graphic novel, I mean, they're kind of only what's his name, the Gordon. Only Gordon is given like a lot of time in the graphic novel. In the film, all the other ones kind of just have those montages of how they met Ramona, and then they just fight.
Right.
So I think Gordon in the graphic novel, the film, just had the most airtime, so he's probably the most interesting in that way.
Yeah.
Still a dick.
I liked Matthew Patel the most out of all.
He was fun.
Oh, yes. Well, because he got so much to do in the series, but in the film, it's not the same.
Oh, yeah. He dies immediately, right? He's the first one, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think he's the first one to go.
Yeah, but lovely. I love his little show at the end. He's like, "Oh, I got my one-man show."
Yes.
And he's like, "I don't want the empire. I just want the show. Just give me that."
He was like, "I'm exhausted."
Honestly,
Broadway.
I would be too.
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
being a billionaire running an empire. Nah,
that sounds tiring.
Well, okay. I think we've gone through a lot of our.
Yeah, we got to end on Ramona.
Here.
We got to end on Ramona.
Let's end on Ramona.
So Ramona basically is told, if you and Scott stay together, you guys will be together for a little bit. You'll break up. This causes Scott to go into like a spiral. He gets like obsessed and then becomes evil. And then they start to resent each other. So like canon current day Ramona is told basically like, if you stay on this course, it's just going to end up shitty.
Yeah.
And then she kind of doesn't care at first. She kind of just wants to be with Scott anyway. Then they have this big fight and she runs into future Ramona and she's basically like, I'm choosing myself. I love myself.
Good for her.
Good for her. So my question obviously was, is this like good, genuine character development? Did the show do enough to support that choice? Or is this more like a cop-out at the end of the series where the series can go, yeah, it's about, loving yourself and female empowerment and not being trapped in a male-dominated relationship?
Jackie's smirking. I'm curious what they have to say.
I can go first. I did feel like it was a bit of a cop out.
Okay.
When it happened, when she was like, "I choose me," I was like, "The fuck."
That wasn't the most solid writing or setup. It really wasn't.
Yeah, I it did kind of feel like it felt a little bit too rushed. I would have been fine with the choice had there been more build up to it, but honestly, it felt like throughout the series that the exes came more to terms with themselves than Ramona was with her actions until that very like end sequence where she's like, you know what? She has like this whole huge epitome about like, you know what? I do run away from things I love.
Yeah.
It felt a bit out of pocket and out of left field. And had she maybe expressed more remorse or reflection in going through the relationships with her exes, I would have felt differently. But it felt like, from what I remember, she was kind of supporting the exes through their development, being like, yeah, you were being a shit. Like, why were you doing that?
Yeah.
I think Roxy definitely calls her out and she feels remorse there, but I don't remember the other ones if it's sticking with me as much that she is flawed and, you know, fucks up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like the Roxy one. Absolutely, like she's like, yeah, I ran away. I should not have done that. I ran away from my feelings, and I was like,
Is that what you were sitting on your couch?
Yeah,
watching Netflix and going,
ew. I mean, basically. And then when Roxy goes and makes out with the other girl, I was like, yes, let's.
Well, then you're just jacking off. So yeah, I feel like Roxy definitely has like the most time with her in that regard.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's one of those things where it's just like show don't tell. Like don't have Ramona outwardly say I choose me, like literally say it. It just sounded like kind of cringe.
Yeah, it was it felt a little lame.
But like I knew like that was the best choice for her. So obviously she should have made the choice to just choose herself and like focus on herself first. But having it outwardly spoken like that at the end was kind of like, we get it, girl. You could have just done it, and we'd have got the,
I thought it was the correct choice. Yes.
Yeah.
But then I think I was this didn't worry me as much as when then she merges with herself.
Oh yeah.
And becomes Super Saiyan Ramona. And I was like, wait, hang on one second. Wait. Now you've thrown me for a loop. All the other shit I didn't care about. How did that happen?
But I just watched this today, right? So when I saw that moment, I was like, I wish I could have seen Matt's face. Being like, what the fuck is this? Because I had a bit of like, what? Okay, hold on. I was so mad. I was like, oh, I wish I could have seen Matt.
I was like,
moment.
So you're just gonna merge with yourself, and then somehow you, like the old version of you and the young version of you, break the barrier and kiss Scott. I was like, is that weird?
Why didn't young Scott and old Scott merge too?
Yeah, what the heck?
Well, I would hope that it's more so because like older Ramona represents like a more mature Ramona. Younger Ramona obviously is like the present one we're following, so like she's like merging that ideology of being like a more proactive in her own life and choosing herself, and just like a physical representation of that looks fun for a comic or a manga or an anime.
Yeah.
But Scott should not be fusing with himself because they're both douchebags, and they would just be super douchebag.
So problematic. Yeah. I assume they like unsplit. That she must have the old Ramona must have gone back to her timeline because she makes that comment like, Scott, you old Scott, you gotta go back.
Yeah, go back.
Start cleaning up.
Figure out your shit.
You gotta fucking shave that beard because I think there's like 6 rats living in there.
And you know what?
And take a shower.
What was that?
What was? I wish I could hide animals in my beard, but I don't have a long enough beard yet.
I wish I could pull beard. Like Ida and put.
I have my beard. It's just really it's trimmed.
You've got a little stubble now. It looks you're clean shaven right now to me.
No, get up in the gig. You see all that?
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, now that I'm a little closer, I see it. Yeah.
I know it's tiny. You gotta get close.
I'm sure our podcast listeners love this listening experience right now.
Well, you know what? They can go on YouTube and re-listen to the whole episode.
They can.
They get double the dose.
Exactly.
Yeah,
double the dose, girl.
Any other thoughts about this? And are we going to pass the queer review? That's the next question.
Oh, we're always gonna pass a
No,
queer
I don't think I have any more thoughts. I think we've kind of. That was good. I'd recommend go watch.
Oh,
Would you watch it again?
Oh
No.
yeah. Oh. It's because I like it.
Yeah,
Chucky's like, you like this? I can't
I
support it.
can't do it. Such
No,
energy.
I would watch it again, and I would encourage everyone.
I actually would watch it again, if alone just for the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, the soundtrack is so lit. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
I think I would watch it again in maybe like a year. Like
Okay.
I'll give it some time to simmer.
Hey Siri, set a
Yeah.
reminder for 1 year.
Oh.
Okay, so now it's time to figure out if it passes the queer review. So Jackie, what do you think? Does it just okay?
It
Pat,
does.
what about you?
Well, yeah, I think it absolutely does, girl.
Yeah, it'll be 3 out of 3. Very good queer representation.
I need to get like a
would
little
say.
sign.
Very good queer representation, the best.
Very good, the best around. This
I don't think we've ever not passed anything yet. I
No,
think we have to.
But isn't that
We
funny?
did.
Wait, maybe Vampire in the Garden. Did we? I think we failed.
I think we
in the
failed
Garden.
Vampire in the Garden.
Well, most of them pass, and I think that just goes to show you that queer media, in at least current day, is doing fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we need to watch some bad queer representation so that we can tear it apart.
Wait, we
Okay.
watched that stupid Peach thing.
Call Me by Your Name.
But we passed Call Me by Your Name. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Sorry,
shouldn't
girl.
have.
I think it was a 2 out of 3 vote.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it was me voting no, actually.
Oh, it
Jackie.
was. I did
so-
pass it.
Oh, damn.
But I'm saying that maybe we shouldn't have, and I do agree with that.
Well, if I could turn back time.
I'd keep marriage between a man and a woman, bitch.
I keep that Peach away from what's his face.
Apricot, yeah.
Timothée Chalamet.
Timothy
Timothée
Chalamet. I forgot it was
Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet. Jesus.
Yeah,
I
Willy
forgot it was
Wonka.
him.
Mm-hmm.
Who plays Willy Wonka in the live action
Yes.
Willy Wonka movie. Wonka.
I have to see. I still have to see that.
Oh, period.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for watching or listening to this episode of Under Queer Review, which is part of the What Do the Gays Think podcast. I don't have my notes open for the outro that I usually do, so follow us on all of our socials.
Sign us off the what do the gays think method. The way.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. I usually have notes that I read off of. But anyway, follow us on all of our socials. You can follow that link in the description, the link tree that says Pride Empire. That'll take you to all of our socials. And look forward to us in the next 2 weeks, because we're bi-weekly, for a new episode.
Boy.
I am Matt.
And I'm a pansexual rollerblading through your dreamscape.
Oh.
And do you guys want to run lines in my trailer? Do you want to run lines?
I'm vegan now.
I do, actually. I do.
I think I'm
vegan now.
Oh.
No, I eat meat, Pat. Let's go.
I wish people would proposition me in the bar like that. Hey, I eat meat. Let's go.
I eat meat. Let's go. Well, goodbye.
Bye.